Shit. There we go. Hey, vinyl community, it's Scotty Strychnine. Thought I'd make a video. It's been 10 years since I last made one. So here we are. Shout out to Grown Man Record Night every Friday night on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, so I thought I'd start out as my reintroduction to the community, showing my preferred format to collect, which is 45's. I'll just go through and, I don't know, show you how I have them organized and maybe do a flip through on one row. Future videos might be flip throughs on other sections. I don't want this to be too long. Still have my Halloween display up. Anyway, on that note, let's go over there. I like to classify things. I don't know. It's some things cross genres and cross decades and all that, but if it's a band that mostly made their mark in the 70's, they're in like a 70's grouping, or 80's or so on. Anyway, I kind of start with this punk, 70's punk, those sections down there. Then we get into what's this? I guess new wave, mod, power pop stuff. It's kind of a, that's a catch-all category in a way. Stuff that doesn't really fit under punk per se, like, and maybe more popular, like Adam and the Ants, Elvis Costello's in there. The stuff that's definitely more power pop, I kind of put in there too. Some could maybe go into punk. So they're a little less edgy stuff. The Jam would go in here. Bands like the Talking Heads and Blondie that were kind of around in the scene but weren't necessarily, I don't know, punk themselves per se. And down here, that's continuation, Graham Parker. And I got 80's punk, the Addicts, whatever. I'll show you more detail later. 80's punk. Then back here it goes into like kind of a post-punk category, which is another thing that's kind of, a catch-all a little bit. Gang of Four, Bauhaus. That's another hard category because a lot of those bands started out as punk bands. Some bands are called post-punk before punk even started. Like I think of Television comes to mind. I've heard them considered post-punk a lot, and it's like, well, they were kind of there in the beginning of punk, so I don't know how they can be post-punk, but I get the sentiment. Public Image. Then starts synth pop stuff, or anything like synthy and kind of experimental in that way. Human League, Depeche Mode's in there. And this actually expands all eras. It's not split by decade or anything. I've got some modern stuff in here. Even. The Residents are even in here, some of that stuff. Up here, this is punk from 90's and newer. Pub rock. Small pub rock section, Eddie and the Hot Rods. That's a good one. What's this? Kind of like 60's and 70's. Kind of general rock pop. 80's rock pop is probably like all like hair about Billy Idol. He's one, I don't know. He's a punk guy, but his solo stuff kind of it felt fit more with that. And we'll go over here. Jumping over here, what's this? 80's alternative. This is very similar to a lot of the post-punk stuff. Feely's REM is in here. I haven't figured this out if I'm gonna maybe just merge the two or not, because this is kind of such a small section. I think I have Echo and the Bunnymen in the other area, but like this stuff, Dream Syndicate, that stuff kind of fits, you know, loosely together, I feel like. Then we got 90s kind of indie rock alternative stuff. And then from around here starts the 2000s and up to today. I will say, like bands like, for instance, Helmet, I would normally put in the 90s. However, this is the only 40, these are the only 45s I have of Helmet, and it came out, I don't know, a few years ago. So it goes in the 2000s because I don't have any of the 90s stuff. At least I do on LP, but not on 45. So that's why it goes there. I know where everything is. That's all that matters, I guess. I kind of have a weird way of classifying sometimes, or I don't know. Some people like to be less complicated with it. I have fun with it, trying to group things. But then I've got like an oddball set at the end here of like flexi discs and some beer. I collect. I off and on I'll collect stuff with like cool beer related covers and like that. These are mostly flexis. So then on top of what I've shown, I also have boxes and lids still of reggae and funk and soul and a lot of 80s R&B stuff. Then I've got probably 2 boxes worth of stuff that fit in these categories I've shown that I need to clean. They don't get filed away in here until I clean them and put them in new sleeves and all that. Anyway, let's go back over. I'll just, I don't want to take too long, but so I won't talk about too much, but let's maybe do a flip through of the first section. Some of the bands. 999, great British punk band from the 70's. Homicide's one of their biggest singles. 2 copies that somehow ended up with the green vinyl and the black vinyl. Got a lot of their stuff. The adverts also, I mean, these are all punk from the 70's, obviously, but gay advert. Stiff Records, 1977. So yeah, Gary Gilmore's Eyes is probably the first. It was the first advert song I had ever heard. Bored Teenagers, the B-side's also good. It hooked me on the band and further propelled me down this rabbit hole of 70's punk back when I was 15 years old. And I've really never looked back. I've kind of always been drawn more to the UK bands and some of the Australian as well. Don't get me wrong, I love the Ramones and a lot of US bands too, the Dead Boys, stuff like that. But kind of my focus has always been a little more UK based. Time to be 21. Snuff Rock. So the A Moms, also known as the Algebra Mothers, are from Detroit in the, I don't know, 76, 77. Cool band out of Detroit. Got 2 copies. This one didn't have a sleeve, so a few years later I found one that did. It's since been reissued probably about 2 or 3 years ago by Third Man Records. Different color sleeve, but otherwise, I don't know. I haven't heard it. It's probably fine. LA Cats, that's a reissue. Alternative Television, cool band. Mark Perry, he also did the Sniffing Glue. Let's see. This is a good book I got when Tower Records was going out of business in my local area 20 years ago, or 25 years ago or something. This book collects all the Sniffing Glue issues. fanzine stuff. It's cool because the front pages are all like nice glossy, and then when the zine actually starts, you get it's more of like a, I don't know, newspapery paper. It's every issue, at least all the original issues. Anyway, Mark Perry, the guy who created that, was in this band, Alternative Television. Cool band. This was the first single I heard of them. This one is. I saw the Avengers, I don't know, 4 years ago, and Penelope Houston signed the front for me. And that 45, it's a reissue, Superior Viaduct reissue. And on this one, she signed the back. American, those are all reissues. Here's an original, The Boys, First Time. Boys, Brickfield Nights. Jet Rocks and the Forbidden, that's a good one. This is a funny. If you are not among the first 15,000 purchasers of this record, you will have to be content with crummy black vinyl instead of terrific red vinyl. And most are red. Somehow I did get a black one. I like that Lightning Records label. I guess I wasn't in the first 15,000. Hard to imagine they pressed that many, but Buzzcocks, this is a second pressing because it says with Howard Devoto of the Spiral Scratch EP. One of the first do-it-yourself EPs by a punk band. The original one doesn't have that with Howard Devoto line in there. And New Hormone Records. Focus on. Sorry, the camera's shitty. Orgasm Addict. One of these signed. Yeah. Signed by Pete Shelley. On the back, I wish it was on the front, but whatever. Buzzcocks. I've got all the original singles that are on the Singles Going Steady compilation, which is a great compilation and a good starting point if you're not familiar with the Buzzcocks. Good band out of Manchester. Kind of on the poppier punk side, I guess, for the era anyway. A lot of love songs, like Ever Fallen in Love with Someone You Shouldn't Have. But they always have a little edge to them, too. I love some of their sleeve designs, less so that one, but that's alright. This one, I got this in actually 2 colors. These are all originals. Harmony in Your Head. It's parts 1, 2, and 3. Airwave Dreams. 2 copies of that. Kane, this is a reissue. It's on that Lightning Records. Carpets, they're cool. That's a good one. Original. Cash Pussies, Sid Vicious on the cover, 99% of shit. The Cheap Nasties, they're a band out of Perth, Australia. Formed in, I want to say, 76. Kim Salmon was in this band. He went on to form The Scientists, another awesome Australian band. And I think he's been in a lot of other things too. Cool album, 45. They didn't record much. I think there's a compilation. There's stuff out more recent, but I spent 3 weeks in Perth, Australia, a few years ago, and at the time of my life, really cool city. Chelsea, band who 3/4 of their of their original band ended up leaving and forming Generation X. Notably, Billy Idol being one of them. Billy Idol and Tony James were both part of Chelsea originally. Gene October was the last man standing. He went on to get a different lineup and release these singles. They didn't release anything as far as I know with Billy Idol. Still a good band on their own afterwards. Right to Work is probably one of their better known songs. Cinecide, cool Detroit band. I collect Detroit stuff because I grew up in that area, and I think it's fantastic stuff, especially these early Cinecide singles. Gutless Radio. I've got a couple more. I guess they're my to be clean file. John Cooper Clarke, the punk poet, is in here, who also has a foreword on this Sniffing Glue book, foreword by John Cooper Clarke. Then we get into Clash, which I think runs out to the end of this section. Boy Riot, 1977. I guess I got 2 copies of that on the sleeve. It's Complete Control. Maybe I have 2. London's Burning. Clash City Rockers. Yeah. I'm looking at the B-sides on the A-sides right then. White Man and Hammersmith Kelly. Tommy Gun off the second album. Love the drumming on Tommy Gun. Groovy Times. I don't know. You know them all. This is a good one. Cost of Living EP. London Calling. That skips through. It's the Mickey Dread Clash split with Hitsville, USA, and Radio Clash, Magnificent Dance, Know Your Rights. I like that song. Rock the Casbah. Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? Straight to Hell. I like that one too. And Janie Jones and the Lash, which is the Clash. I filed this under the Clash because of that. I Fought the Law single. Then here's their Levi's, or maybe one of their Levi's. They might have more than one. Should I Stay or Should I Go? Because the Clash were so anti-capitalism. Anyway, that's the first row. Maybe I'll make another video starting on the D's of my 70s punk and eventually go through everything. I don't know. We'll see. Happy holiday weekend to those in the US. Hope everyone's having a good time. Bye.